Okay, so we know that GoPro is going to release at least one camera in the next couple of months. And the company also just leaked a teaser trailer showing what it should be capable of. And it's pretty wild. So let's take a quick look at that. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because there's more to talk about this later on. And I say at least one camera because company boss, CEO Nick Woodman, he himself has been using language like multiple cameras and new market segments when talking about the GP3 processor, which is what's going to be powering this new next generation of GoPros. But let's back up a bit. Every September, like clockwork, GoPro normally releases a new Hero Black camera, 12, 13, that kind of thing. Now this September 2025, the company broke from that tradition, just announcing the new Max 2 360 camera and the GoPro Lit Hero. There was no Hero Black 14 like everyone was expecting. And now we likely understand why, because the company also just released a press release announcing more details about its GP3 processor, which would be powering its next generation of cameras. So we can assume the company was waiting until that was ready before it was going to show off a new flagship. The new cameras were said to be coming in Q2, and that is just around the corner. So what do we think they might have in store? Because there are a couple of clues. But frankly, I think that releasing a new camera every year got a little bit exhausting, certainly as a consumer, with every camera being a little bit better than the last one, but not always the revolutionary jump forward that you wanted, certainly if you're a fan of the brand. And in the meantime, companies like DJI are trying all sorts of different things with different form factors. And even Insta360 is slower on its release cycle, but when it does something, it's something kind of new and interesting. And what I've been wanting to see from GoPro for years, I've been writing about the company for years, is for them to step out of this Hero Black and then a slightly more affordable version and maybe a budget version. And this is what I'd like to see from GoPro, different types of cameras. I'd love to see a GoPro rival to the Osmo Pocket, for example, or something more serious and professional. And it seems like we might be about to get that. But more on that in a minute. But first, what do we know about GP3? Well, way back in 2017, I actually wrote a story for Engadget about the GP1, which was GoPro's first ever custom processor. Up until that, they'd been using products from other companies. Then in 2021, which is when we saw the GP2, which I think the first camera with that was the Hero Black 10. And that's when we see the jump forward from 4K as the maximum resolution to 5.3K. And we see things like 4K 120 frames per second. So a decent leap forward, and you can see that this is the standard we've been enjoying ever since then. So what are we expecting from GP3? Well, they're saying it's a 5 nanometer system on a chip, which basically just means that it can cram a lot more processing power into the same space. They're saying it's like twice as much pixel processing power. That is really difficult to say. It's going to be better for low light performance, battery life, and all that kind of thing. What's interesting to me is not so much the performance and the features, but how GoPro itself is talking about it. So let me show you what I mean. In a recent press release, GoPro said that the GP3 will usher in a new era of professional level image quality, low light performance, resolution, and frame rates. Okay, so that sounds good. The thing that caught my attention was professional level image quality. Of course, they're going to say that it's marketing, it's a press release. But later on in the same sentence, it says that this camera should allow for, resolution and frame rates for small form factor camera markets, including action cameras, 360 cameras, vlogging cameras, and ultra premium compact cinema grade cameras. Compact cinema grade cameras, I really hope that's not just marketing hype. Now let's look at that teaser and see what that might mean. Okay, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a GoPro that can provide footage like that. As a reminder, this is what GoPro footage typically looks like. Bright, wide, everything's in focus. So there's a couple of interesting things we can surmise from that video. The most exciting for me is that shallow depth of field. So we can get bokeh on our videos now. That seems pretty cool to me. Second is that moonshot. There's no way I can think of that being done without some sort of lens, some sort of like telephoto lens. So make of that what you will. And lastly, if GoPro, after all this time, is not including a 1-inch sensor after talking about low light so much, I will eat my own hat. And then there are these still images, which are in the same press release, or it's on the blog post on the GoPro website. Look at these images. Now, I've taken thousands of photos with my GoPro, and none of them have ever looked like this. Okay, so still this might just be a Hero 14 Black, right? But again, check out this language that they're saying. In a recent press release, they specifically mentioned they want to gain a meaningful share in new professional product categories, including the quickly growing low light camera segment. Now, most low light cameras are not action cameras. And what about this? GP3's bleeding edge cinema grade performance will enable GoPro to enter the ultra premium end of the imaging market this year, serving the needs of a new higher end market segment. I really hope this isn't just fancy marketing language, because if you're telling me ultra premium, I am expecting something special. Okay, usual caveat at this point, this is still marketing talk. This is a press release. Nothing has been confirmed, no dates. We don't know what is happening. All we know is that the company is poised to do something in Q2. They're using terms like multiple cameras. They're saying things like cinema quality, ultra premium. What we do know is that GP3 will have things like dedicated cores for scene recognition and subject detection. Now, GoPros already do a little bit of that, but I guess they're going to put more of a focus on it with GP3, and there's a lot more power for that. Now, battery life and thermal performance has been a problem with GoPros for the last, well, maybe since forever. Sort of the first thing that reviewers test now, they sit it down and just set it recording at the highest possible frame rate to see how long it'll take before it'll overheat. So if GoPro can solve that problem, that's going to be a big win for them. And again, I know we're still in the world of marketing talk, but CEO Nick Woodman has been saying that in their testing, so runtime performance has been 40 to 90% better than the competition. Now that's a wide range, and we don't know what the competition is, and it's a big claim. So I'm expecting it does definitely mean that we can see some better battery life, and it should even possibly be significantly better than what we're used to. But what that actually means in the real world, we don't quite yet know. So what are we thinking? Obviously, a GoPro Hero 14 Black would be the safe choice, but with all this talk of vlogging cameras and something cinematic, it's kind of hard to understand how they might compile all of that into one camera or even two. Whatever it is, I do expect it to still maintain that GoPro DNA, for it to be rugged, waterproof, and all the rest of it. Just what that means if they want to do stuff like detachable lenses, again, that's another big question mark. But for me, what I like the most is finally, after years of seeing GoPro do the same thing and just a little bit better, that the company might be stepping out and trying something new, dusting itself down and coming out fighting, especially now that it has strong competition from the likes of DJI and Insta360. So what we do know is that NAB, the big camera show in Las Vegas, is happening next month. So that might be a good opportunity for the company to give us a little bit more information. And this is possibly just coincidence that the Hero Black 13 is currently $70 off at the GoPro.com website, which is exactly what you might expect if you're just about to release a new camera and you want to shift a little bit of stock. Either way, it definitely feels like something's about to happen. Let me know in the comments what you think it is, what your wish list would be, and then fingers crossed we'll find out something in the next month or so.